This video was extremely last minute. I propped up the camera, hit record, sat in front of it, and got going. And the reason for this sort of eagerness and spontaneous action was because it dawned on me that what I've been working on my personal journey towards integration, wholeness, authentic living, and moving my life in a direction of higher calling, I finally made ground onto something that has been gripping me for as long as I can remember. And I want to share that with you, what the problem was, where I am now, and how I got there. The problem for me, for the longest time, the narrative, the story that's been gripping me, that I had such a difficult time letting go, was I could not help but if I'm around particular types of individuals, those who are deemed cool, those who they just seem very laid back, everything comes easy to them, they're witty and they're smart and they're funny, individuals and men that I've felt inferior to when I'm around. And every time I'm around them, I felt myself step out of my frame, tagging along with what they're sort of saying, going into their vibration, or in other words, I'm with them rather than both of us sitting together in each other's company. I felt I was stepping into his world. And this has happened my whole life, again, with particular types of people. And along my path towards integration and authentic living and untethering myself from my past, this one was something I theoretically, after many years, was able to understand. Because after all, my process of shadow work in a simplistic way is find the pattern that's repeating. What is the self-sabotage, the regressive habits that you find keep you stuck, keep you ruminating, providing a poor self-concept, all these things. Find what the repetition is. Break down the repetition into how it is felt, how it is seen in your mind, and where does this trail to, and what is the story arc that's involved in it. You trail it back, you find it. Once you find the narrative, you find what it provided you. What was the benefit? So for me, the benefit of blending in with the crowd allowed me to not get bullied. See, I got bullied growing up a lot. Now, I became the bully at some point, which just kind of the way things went. I was very frustrated and angry, and I grew in size. But nevertheless, it was a way for me to blend, to gain approval, or at least not be hated. And when I was investigating this part of myself, I said, well, why am I so desperate to want this? Like, what is it that I really care that they're going to give me? And I got to tell you, I could not figure it out. Couldn't find a solid answer. Why do I need to step out of my frame? Or if I tried to act nonchalant, I acted like a complete extreme opposite of who I was. Regardless, I was not me in my center. I was stuck in ego, stuck in mind, influenced by my heart. And I couldn't figure out what it was they were giving me. What are you giving me that I care about? Attention? Acceptance, love. And as I cycled through it and connected the dots in my mind, and as I further peeled other narratives that weren't as strong, I gained access more to my core. And when I got the touch of it, it hit me. Whether I bent over backwards to be accepted by them or not, whether I achieved a great deal in my life, it didn't change the dynamic with them. They barely even cared. And if they did, it was envy. So then I thought, well, what do I need to participate in this for? If that's the outcome. And if that's the case, what is it? Something else that I can aim myself towards. And when I concentrated on that, when I concentrate on where am I aiming towards, What is the higher calling that my soul is pulling me to move? Immediately, it began to shift. Slowly but surely, not all at once. It wasn't noticeable in the beginning. But over time, as I sat with them, those types that would always typically influence me, I was able to catch the moment, feel myself trying to bend and shift and weave into their worldview, into their aura, energy. And I decided, you know what? No. The story that I used before to justify doing that doesn't serve me. Doesn't give me anything. It actually detracts from my life. It separates me from the closest part of myself. So I'm not participating anymore. And of course, naturally, part of the system is, as you do that, you're going to have to see the consequence, because it's the consequence we're worried about. How are they going to react? What's going to happen? And you know what? What ended up happening was probably the most surprising thing to me. They didn't know what to do. They had no idea how to react, because for the first time in our dynamic, they felt the change, the shift, that I no longer went into their space, but rather stayed fixated in mine, neither insecure or superior, absolutely neutral. Having pleasant conversation, if they bragged about something, or if they carried themselves a certain way, it did not affect anything, because I was no longer seeing this through that lens of that story, of the part of me that needed to be accepted all the time. Therefore, yeah, anything people say can activate me. But when that washed away, I was able to sit and watch the world around me as if like I can see the code almost. And it was this past, it was the week before at a family gathering. And there was an individual that I always tend to do that with. But for the first time, that's not how it went. I said, you know what? I'm going to sit where I want to sit, talk to where I want to talk to. I can agree if I agree. I could disagree if I don't agree. And that's it. And when I acted on it, saw the consequence was incredibly powerful for me. But even if it didn't go my way, it didn't matter. It didn't affect anything internally. That was when I realized how much power I had and how much power I reserved and held back because of a narrative, a prison that I put myself in, not realizing that once a story serves you, you must release the story. Let it die. Along with it, a part of your identity will die. But what emerges, hopefully, is not a different ego, but rather appealing that grants you more access to your core, more access to the soul, where it feels timeless, boundless, endless, unaffected by useless opinion, not easily shaken or shifted, emotionally manipulated. You feel sovereign. You are in command. You access what I often call the king archetype, the benevolent king archetype. The perfect razor's edge center. And I wanted to pass that to you today. Again, this could be very disorganized. I just decided to do it spontaneously. But I had to pass it on. And I have to let you know that this was I can't know how many I've done so far, but I've had 2 massive collapses of identity throughout my life. It's launched me into the pit of hell. And every time I come out of it, I gain more and more access to my center. But this was something that was very sticky for me. Could not let it go for a very long time. And all of us have one of those. where it's very deep. It's a very deep layer. But through the practice of repeated, notice your loops, recognize the emotion, recognize the thoughts you have, understand you are not your emotions. You feel emotions. Understand that you are not your thoughts. You see your thoughts. Your mind is for tactics, strategy, to discern between what is important and what is not. Your heart is a way for you to experience life, a signal of an underlying issue, challenge you need to address. And the soul and the center that calls you forward towards a higher meaning. Having those in balance and alignment provides you this peace. Like I gotta be honest, I've never really had this form of peace in a very, very long time. And it is quite effortless once practiced. Just remember, once you let that go, what makes room is not an abyss. What makes room is something much more than that. It is infinite. God's love. You can think of it that way if you want some other ways. I try to find ways to explain sometimes what I have in my mind. God's love, his abundance, his presence, the universe, all intertwined. I would say probably something along those lines. That's it. Have a good day, everybody. I'll see you on the next video.